Hello and welcome to The Comic Cave. I'm Ramsey, aka Captain Away, and today I'm looking at the 2003 to 2015 series, Dead at 17. Despite its 12-year run, Dead at 17 is not one continuous series. Instead, it's actually 7 mini-series, all telling one long story. The series has about as humble of origins as they get, initially beginning as an entirely handmade short comic that creator Josh Howard took to a Kinko's to print out copies that he then handed out for free while working at his local comic shop. Yeah, there used to be entire shops that existed just so you could print copies of things. The early 2000s were a weird time, man. The comic managed to gain enough attention to be picked up by a local Dallas comic publisher starting up named Viper Comics, where it would print the first 4 series in a smaller diary size. The series would gain enough attention to move to Image Comics, where the last 3 series would be printed, finally in a full regular comic size. Image also produced the Ultimate Collection, containing all 7 volumes in one massive collection, and definitely the way to go if you're looking to read this series in its entirety. Perhaps most impressive about this series is the fact that the writing, art, and coloring from beginning to end were all done by Howard himself, though he did get help with the lettering in the Viper days. But if the comic looks a little bit like a really high quality early 2000s webcomic to you, well, that's the reason why. There's also been talk of a movie that never came to fruition, but a live action version did happen thanks to Pop Boom and the YouTube channel CryptTV, and I'll post a link to the video in the description, and it should also be on the top of the screen. The comic itself is simply a story of good versus evil, where demons from hell attempt to rise up on the earth, bringing about the apocalypse and remaking the world in their image, and a small group of people who attempt to stop them. But the nitty-gritty is a lot more complicated than that, and to get into all the details, I thought I'd count down to Halloween by doing one video a day on each of the 7 miniseries. So with that in mind, let's get started by taking a trip back to 2003 to see how it all began as we take this away. The comic opens in Texas, and hey, look at that! Trees and grass! It's not just a desert! Take note, Garth Ennis, this is what Texas looks like. Maybe it's just where I was in my life in 2003, but I always assumed that our 2 characters here, Hazy Foss and Nara Kilday, were coming home from a show, but I realized on this read-through that they were actually just coming home from breaking up with Hazy's now ex-boyfriend, Patrick. Not that Patrick's important, but I do like that in one page, Howard has already established these characters as very close friends, and as people having a life that went on before this comic even started. Nara goes inside to get ready for bed when she hears a sound. She investigates only to find a man, who seems a bit cartoonishly black for this kind of serious moment. Whenever I think back on this scene, I kinda see him as looking kind of spy versus spy. The mystery man chases Nara down, stabs her twice, and leaves her on her bathroom floor to die. Meanwhile, we see Hazy and Nara's connection seems to go beyond just being good friends, as Hazy wakes up, seeming to realize something's wrong with Nara. And cut to Nara's headstone. That confirms she really is, as the title suggests, dead at 17. Now that's an attention-grabbing start to a comic. Hazy gets visited at the grave by a special agent Noel Ratimer. Or Noel? I've always said Noel, but again I'm realizing it might be different than I first thought. I'm gonna stick with Noel, mainly because it'd probably be too hard to break the habit. Hazy's not in the mood for talking to shadowy government agent types though, so instead she heads off to talk with this guy, Elijah, who used to date Nara. He tells her a disturbing story about Nara, a story of a time she freaked out while sleeping, screaming to be left alone and even lashing out at him. Nara's weirdness only increases as Hazy is questioned by the police about her. It seems that before she died, she was keeping a diary filled with strange writing and crazy person scrawls. The police also inform her that the FBI isn't investigating the case. Wait a minute, who was that Noel guy then? Dun dun dun. There's some questionable policing when the investigators leave Hazy alone in the room with evidence, and she takes the opportunity to steal the diary. She returns home and sits like a forlorn teenager in her room when a sudden noise gets her attention. Uh-oh, we saw this with another teenage girl earlier. Thinking it's her mom, she goes to check it out, only to find zombies! What? There's zombies too? This comic has everything. The zombies get Hazy down and prepare to feed, but before they can, she's saved by a magical flying axe. Oh, wait, no. That's an axe wielded by the supposed-to-be-dead Nara Kilday. Nara says the last thing she remembers is lying on her bathroom floor after being attacked, and then waking up in a graveyard with an axe and surrounded by zombies. Hazy asks if Nara is also a zombie, and Ratimer, being a creep sneaking into a teenage girl's room in the middle of the night, answers firmly that Nara is something different. He doesn't really explain beyond that though, insisting instead that they get out of town. On their way, they run into Elijah and his girlfriend Lisa, who had come to check on Hazy. The entire group piles into Ratimer's car, even though Lisa insists repeatedly that she just wants to be taken home, and head out for the city limits. Before they can get out, they're attacked by zombies, and Noel is bitten and Nara is carried away by a winged zombie. These zombies can grow wings? What the hell? At least we also learned that zombie bites don't kill in this universe. That's fortunate. Fly Zombie takes Nara to this crazy mansion on the outskirts of town, where lives a man named Hans Dargo. Yeah, that's not an evil sounding name. Hans used to work for a group called the Protectorate, which is the group Noel really works for. Apparently, Nara was the daughter of 2 of their agents, and when she was born, there was a prophecy regarding the important role she would play in the future. There was division within the Protectorate over how she should be used, so Nara's mother ran away, giving her daughter up for adoption to help keep her hidden from all of them. But a man named Abraham Pitch and all of his followers split with the Protectorate and managed to track Nara down to Darlington Hills, where they had her killed to help her fulfill her destiny. Apparently, they knew she would be resurrected, which would make her stronger, and once strengthened, believed she would be strong enough to be possessed by their demon lord, Bolabog, who currently resides in the head of their former leader, Pitch. Gross. Bolabog's ultimate goal isn't just possession though. He wants to develop as a fetus inside his new host so he can grow a body of his own. Also gross. But before she can be sacrificed to their Dark Lord of Nasty, Noel and the others show up to try and rescue her, as well as a contingent of the Protectorate. In the fight, Lisa gets killed by a zombie, which seems pretty messed up. I mean, yeah, she was really whiny, but did she deserve to be the only one who dies here? If they had just taken her home like she asked, she probably would have lived. Also during the fight, Bolabog leaves Pitch and enters Nara, but she manages to eject him into Dargo. Not strong enough to hold his demon lord, Dargo simply explodes, unleashing a demonic tentacle monster thing on the world. Noel gives Nara her diary, which was on the scene due to a somewhat complicated side plot involving Hazy's brother Simon, who had been taken in by Dargo's lies, and Hazy, not knowing, gave the diary to Simon, hoping he could make some sense out of it. It turns out the writing in the diary is in the language of the angels. There actually is a real-world language that is called the language of the angels, better known as Enochian, after the biblical character Enoch. This language isn't ever called that though, and maintains a unique script separate from that one that, as far as I can tell, Howard developed himself. Pretty cool. Anyway, by reading from the diary in the angel language, Nara is able to activate her angel powers and pulls Bolabog into a hole and out of our world. So the first series ends with everyone standing over Nara's grave, as Nara decides not to go with Noel, and her and Hazy plan a new life together. We also see Noel is keeping a photograph of himself, a woman, and a baby. Interesting. What can this mean? Stick around tomorrow as I cover part 2 and we learn more of these unfolding mysteries. Hope to see you then, right here in the Comic Cave.